I thought I was financially smart, but when I went over all the numbers, I had blown multiple six figures, like literally hundreds of thousands of dollars as a clinic owner without even knowing it. But before I dive into the story and the mistakes that I made, what's crazy is that mistakes weren't random, okay? They weren't these like sudden surprise financial losses that just came out of nowhere. They were the same patterns repeating themselves over and over and over again. And pretty much every good dentist or clinic owner that I see or that we work with or that we even coach makes the same mistakes. And many are so completely unaware that they're making these mistakes. It's like they're basically trying to sail a boat with a tiny hole at the bottom of the boat. The waters can be amazing, they can be calm, the weather conditions can be great. But if you keep ignoring that hole at the bottom of the boat, the slow leak, you're eventually going to look back and realize you're sinking. The boat is sinking. In your case, sinking means throwing away hundreds of thousands of dollars like I did. And that's why I'm making this video. Hopefully in about 20 minutes, you can take even just like one or even several lessons away from this video, and maybe it'll save you from losing 5 to 6 figures. Because here's the thing, I've seen these mistakes, like I said, in my own practice, in other owners or coaching clients. So what that means is it's very common, okay? And with that said, I'm going to start with my top 3 financial mistakes, and then we're going to talk about the personal ones, because honestly, those hurt even more. So we're going to do 3 inside the clinic and 3 personal ones. And there's one in there, by the way, in the middle, that costs us the most, and you won't even realize it until years later. And I'm going to get to that one last. Now, if your certainty is super high, which it is for a lot of dentists, it seems to be, they're like, hey, Chris, I bet I already know this stuff. I'm not going to learn anything new. Well, this one might hurt a little bit, so stick to the end. Because the dentists who lose the most money, they're not dumb. They're not stupid dentists. They're just confident and untrained to look for certain things, or they're untrained financially. And hopefully this saves you from repeating the same mistakes. So let's start with the 3 clinical mistakes, because this is where I burned money the fastest. And this first one is the one most dentists are doing right now, thinking that it's growth. That's why it's so dangerous. So clinical financial mistake number 1, I started paid marketing way too early. And this one might come as a bit of a shock, okay? A dentist, myself, who runs a marketing agency saying that he started paid marketing way too early. But it's true, and here are the financial mistakes that I made. Most dentists believe that paid marketing is the solution to everything, a solution to like an easier schedule, higher value cases, insane growth, more patients, just put money in, I'm going to get a lot of patients out. On face value, that belief isn't wrong. Marketing does help with all of those things at some point. That's why every good clinic invests in marketing. But the issue is that marketing exposes all of the cracks in your systems in your clinic. Marketing doesn't fix poor training. It doesn't fix broken systems like poor communication, phone call skills, sales skills, nor does it give you any help with running the best dental clinic and team that you should follow these steps, okay? If you don't have these things dialed in, paid marketing is the quickest way to learn a very, very, very expensive lesson. Paid marketing is like installing a turbo on your car and your engine that has issues. Yes, it's going to go faster for a little bit, but it won't go further. It's just going to break down quicker, and it's going to end up being more expensive. Marketing amplifies what's already there. If you have a bad engine, marketing is going to amplify that. If your systems are strong, it's going to help with that. It's going to multiply your growth. If they're weak, it's going to do the opposite. It's going to multiply problems, and you're spending thousands of dollars on multiplying your problem. And let me tell you what happens. Let me paint a picture for you if you haven't already learned the lesson. You are going to run ads, leads are going to come in, your phone is going to ring off the hook, or you're going to get leads, but your team isn't trained to convert them, and your office isn't configured in a way to maximize this new channel of getting patients. And some of the biggest reasons are not enough team members to handle incoming submissions and calls. You have a poor office flow, meaning your office is chaotic. Of course, they won't have time to handle incoming leads properly. And then poor training. So before you even consider paid marketing, start by mastering organic marketing first. It's free. It will actually get you new patients coming in your door in your local community at no cost, $0. And quite honestly, it's the best long-term play too. Maximize what you already have. Start posting regularly on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, even your clinic's website. Fill out your Google My Business properly. Get specific reviews. And while you're doing this, start building those in-office systems and training your team. Master the phone calls, master the consults, the new patient exams, the triangle of trust, follow-up systems, and so on. These are all prerequisites to running effective paid marketing. This plus mastering your organic channels is how you're going to take paid marketing from at best like a 2 to 3x return, which by the way, it's a loss in a dental practice, to like a 10 to 20x return. Same dollar spent, higher return. And by the way, if you want my help with implementing any of this, this is what I do. We work with every client one-on-one to diagnose their problems and work on a variety of solutions and systems. So if you're interested, just click below in the description and we'll see if we can help you. But anyways, I could harp on this one for hours, and I think you get the point by now. Paid marketing shouldn't be your first or second thought on where you put your dollars. It should probably be close to the bottom of the list when you've done everything else. But trust me, I get it. It's the easiest and most alluring thing, right? We love things that are presented as quick and easy solutions. It's why Ozempic is massively popular instead of lifelong healthy habits and exercise. It's also why sports betting or betting in general is so popular. People are hoping and fantasizing to make it rich quickly. Now, let's move on to the second mistake. And this one comes with a story. So clinical financial mistake number 2, not cross-shopping suppliers. Now, let me clarify. This isn't about changing implant systems and saving $20 on an implant. Frankly, that's a little bit silly. I think it's best to get this point across by telling you a story. Recently, a coaching client of ours was building an addition to his office, and they were looking for cabinets for the lab and then for a few different rooms. So he went to the supplier that he always dealt with. Completely logical, right? He's been using them for years for various other projects, and they've treated him well in the past, and he has a good relationship with the rep. So the quote that he gets is $70,000 to $80,000 for that lab and maybe 1 or 2 other rooms, like I said. To me, that sounded a bit excessive. They're not even like wood cabinets. They're like melamine type of cabinets. But anyways, that's besides the point. But I know what you're thinking. Dental furniture or supplies are expensive, right? That's completely normal, no? Well, here's the thing. There isn't just one dental supplier. And I'm sure you know that. There are dozens of companies with the same quality and the same materials. So what I did was I just gave him a contact to a company that we've worked with in the past, and the quote for the exact same cabinets and materials, everything, exact same. I actually think that they even had more options, ended up being approximately like $30,000. So just by cross-shopping suppliers, he was able to save somewhere between $40,000 to $50,000. Now look, you're probably thinking, Chris, I don't want to sound cheap or come across as cheap, and I get it. I can understand how this might sound like you're pinching pennies, but the markups in the dental industry are insane. If we look at this logically, $50,000 is a lot of money. Imagine how much impact that can bring to your clinic, or heck, your team, or even you and your family. I would argue it's almost a bit of a selfish thing to blow that kind of cash unnecessarily because you felt the effort of saving wasn't worth it, or that you're going to look a certain type of way. It's like if you bought a shovel from Home Depot, slapped the word dental on it in front of it, and then suddenly it's worth double the price because the shovel is a dental shovel, okay? And dentists make a lot of money, so hell, they can afford it, right? Don't feel ashamed for cross-shopping suppliers. Remember how hard you worked to get the money in the first place, and you can always go back to your original offer if you need to. So to summarize, get multiple quotes, ask around what other dentists are paying, of course, apple to apples, and then compare pricing and negotiate. Now this last clinical financial mistake, it may sound small, but it adds up so very quickly. I didn't realize how negotiable dentistry actually is. Most dentists think that prices are fixed, okay? Or whatever price you're given for either equipment, labs, implants, pretty much anything, that is that initial price and there's no changing that. Well, it's not, okay? Yes, reps are helpful. Yes, relationships matter. That's very important. But the reason most practices overpay is quite simple. They never ask and they accept prices or fees just blindly. And here's the thing. Companies love overcharging dentists. There are so many examples of this that I can share with you. But here's a recent one that I just went through, I think 2 days ago. I had to replace one of my implant handpieces, the NSK SGL20 or whatever it is, on one of the big platforms. It sells for like $1,300. And guess how much you can find it elsewhere? Around $200. Exact same handpiece. Now, this is a stupidly simple example, but you can apply this to like literally anything and everything in dentistry. Don't be afraid of negotiating and looking around. You can negotiate Things like implant volume discounts down from 40, 50, even 60% from MSRP per individual implant. Believe it or not, lab fees, you can negotiate those, especially if it's a lab that you use often or you refer dentists to. Equipment bundles, service contracts, IT, whatever you want, you can negotiate all of it. And if you don't ask, you're going to pay a retail for years, because why not, right? No business is going to willingly go say, hey, Chris, why don't you just give me less money this time around, okay? They're going to maximize their profit as long as you're willing to pay. So if you ask and they want your business, they're going to negotiate something that works in both their interests and yours. That's how relationships are built, and loyalty and respect is earned over the long term. So the number one thing to keep in mind is everything is negotiable, especially if you have leverage. And leverage in your case as a dentist is this. It's volume, like volume of crowns that you're doing or implants or whatever you're doing. Consistency in terms of your ordering. And relationships. Like I said, you refer other doctors or you have some kind of a relationship with a vendor. That is your leverage. And just simply asking the question, okay? The worst they're going to say is, no, my fees are this, and they're not going to change. Don't feel bad about asking. Obviously, don't be a prick and understand that every business has overhead and needs to make money in the same way that we do as dentists. Keep that in mind, that both sides need to be happy, both sides need to win in any negotiation in life. Just don't try to take advantage of people, because that's also not sustainable long-term either. But please, make it a habit to ask. Most dentists never even ask in the first place. Don't be that doctor that's losing thousands a month, 5 figures, even 6 figures, because they're not asking without even realizing it. So those are the clinical ones. By the way, if you want my personal finance tracking template, just send me a DM on Instagram and I'll send it right over. And that's going to take us to the personal side. Let's talk about the mistakes that hurt even more. Because you can build a successful dental clinic and still be broke personally. And what do I mean by that? This is where dentists maybe look rich and behind closed doors, they feel broke. Okay? Let's start with the personal mistake number 1, lifestyle creep. And this is a hard one, by the way, because emotionally it feels normal and it feels deserved, right? Especially as a dentist or a medical professional. I mean, I worked this hard. I went through years of schooling. I sacrificed much of my 20s. You go down the path of rationalizing with emotion that you deserve nice things or luxury things. And here's what happens when you do that. Your income increases, okay? And your lifestyle automatically tries to follow that increase in income. You buy more things, more expensive things. And the hard part is, once you buy those things, it's even harder to go back. Okay, so you end up spending more and more to maintain that lifestyle. A new car, or maybe even a luxury car, a more expensive house in a different neighborhood, clothes, jewelry, what have you. Just more expensive luxury things. And then you're simply just spending more, and it becomes so incredibly hard to stop. Like I said, once you get hooked on things and buying these things, it's hard to go back. Why? Because as a human, psychologically, it's hard to go back to a worse state than you already are. Subconsciously, you start to feel like a failure if that happens. And the sad part is, the majority of dentists do it not because they truly value these things that they're buying or they just can't live without them, but because society, marketing, and emotions are driving those decisions. And then it never stops, by the way. For example, I drive an older Lexus. It's oldish by today's standards. Every day on TikTok or Instagram, I get shown luxury SUVs or G-Wagons, right? Heck, I even got a comment the other day on one of my videos, the most recent video, that I need to upgrade my car. And it was quite funny. I didn't take it personally. But that's the trap. If I wasn't secure in my situation, I would have bought a luxury car years ago. I can afford it, okay? And like I said, that is the trap. To be honest, I've even made the mistake of falling into the luxury trap, but with hotels. Okay, I've paid for hotels that are like $2,000, $3,000 a night, and they're amazing. Don't get me wrong. The service is like unparalleled. The locations, the rooms, the breakfast, everything. But then a normal week vacation becomes like $15,000 and just for the hotel if you want to maintain that lifestyle. And going back to cheaper hotels becomes harder and harder every single time you do that. Basically, the fastest way to feel broke at, like, let's say $500,000, for example, or whatever your income is to live like you make $500,000. Your income isn't wealth. and your cash flow isn't wealth either. It's also not freedom. They both have the potential to give you freedom and wealth, but only if you structure your life intentionally. And by the way, I'm not saying that you need to live like a monk or like one of those frugal Dave Ramsey cult followers. I'm not saying that at all. You need to enjoy your life. That's why you sacrifice so many years. But please, if you're going to spend money, follow this framework. Does this move me closer to my vision, or does it move me further away from that vision? And by the way, in order to answer this question properly, you need a vision for your life, a foundational vision of what your life or what you want your life to look like. And once you do that, lifestyle creep essentially disappears. Now, the next one is the most common dentist mistake of all, because dentists are good at earning and not good at directing. Personal financial mistake number 2, having no financial plan. And this one is sadly very common, but makes a lot of sense, right? We were taught little to nothing about finances or managing finances in dental school. And unless you took business in undergrad, you're pretty much set up for failure. And even then, business in undergrad doesn't teach you much either, okay? A lot of dentists, they start thinking, I make good money and I'll figure out investing later, which at a singular point in time, it may make sense, right? You're busy, things are on the go, you've got so many years left of making income, tons of time, I get it. But the reality is this: if you have no financial plan, your money goes one of 2 ways. One, you spend all of it, or 2, you hoard it in cash and then inflation eats it bit by bit every single year. Both of these paths are losing positions. I don't need to tell you that. And a small point about time, you don't get it back. Even though you might have lots of it now, for example, you'll have even less of it later. So putting your money to work sooner rather than later is key. Because here's the thing: high income without strategy equals delayed regret. And to drill this part in, make it stupid simple for you, a person earning minimum wage that invests their money can beat any high income earning dentist that just spends it or lets it sit in cash. This is exactly why dentists work well into their 70s. And yes, some dentists do it because they love it and they want to stay occupied and whatnot. But some literally cannot retire because the lifestyle that they've built is absurdly expensive to maintain. And by the way, that figure is like 25 to 40% of dentists based on stats from the ADA. And for you to avoid this mistake, it's pretty simple. You need a clear financial goal, a written plan of that goal, basic asset allocation, basic tax strategy, which we're going to get into, and most importantly, consistency. And now the last mistake. This one bridges clinical and personal. This one is also the most avoidable mistake, by the way, and the most impactful one. It's not having a good CPA early on. A CPA can literally make or break your business and your life. And a lot of dentists, they just think a CPA is a CPA, right? They do taxes and that's it. But this belief costs you a lot of money in the long term, because a good CPA does more than just file your taxes. In fact, filing your taxes is literally the last step of that 12-month process. The question you should ask yourself is, what does my CPA do before filing my taxes? As you grow as a dentist and as a business owner, your complexity and tax burden increases, which, to put simply, you have to pay more tax. And you're probably thinking, Chris, everyone pays tax. And yes, that's true. Everyone does pay tax. But a good CPA can reduce your tax burden and help you plan financially through legal means, of course. A proactive CPA, like the one that we use, for example, and I've used for many years, should meet with you quarterly. You should have access to them pretty much any time. They need to build a proper tax strategy for you, advise you on deductions and whatnot, optimize your corporate structure, and most importantly, make sure there aren't any obviously glaring issues. A reactive CPA does the exact opposite. They just file your taxes, tell you what you owe, who to mail the check to, and this can do real damages, by the way, to a clinic. Like one of our clients earlier this year, he had a reactive CPA, and all the CPA did was file their taxes for him and tell him that everything's okay. And what happened? At the end of the year, he had a surprise tax bill of $300,000, money he didn't have because his CPA had no idea how much he owed until he filed his taxes. Long story short, we got the client in touch with our preferred CPA, and I think he saved like $150,000 to $200,000 in tax alone. His final tax bill was like $80,000. So to summarize that lesson, find yourself a proactive CPA, not a reactive one. You need someone that understands what the dental clinic space is, who meets with you quarterly, who helps you plan, and who advocates for dentists on a regular basis. This one singular person can either elevate you or they can ruin you. So please, please be careful in your choice. Okay, guys? So there you have it. The 3 clinical mistakes that I made, and then the 3 financial mistakes. And to summarize, clinical mistakes: paid marketing way too early, not cross-shopping suppliers, and not negotiating and utilizing your leverage as a dentist. And for personal mistakes, lifestyle creep, the biggest one, no financial plan for your life and investing, and then not having a proactive CPA. If you even avoid one of these 6, you are going to save hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, throughout your entire career as a dentist. And listen, making money as a dentist isn't the hard part. Keeping it, growing it, and managing it, that is the hard part. That's what's hard. And that's what's also stressful. So please be intentional about that. And if what I said resonated with you and you want help one-on-one, just click the link below, like I said earlier, and see if I can help you. Or at the very least, maybe I can point you in the right direction. Also, if you have any questions whatsoever, just comment below on the video or send me a DM on Instagram. And if you like this style content, please hit subscribe. I'm going to be putting out much, much more content like this. And until then, I'll see you in the next one.